Hi, my name is Vlada, and today I'm going to talk about Canadian industry statistics, growing of cosmetics, beauty suppliers, and perfume stores. Since the early 20th century, the production of cosmetics has been controlled by a handful of multinational corporations. The global cosmetic industry is broken down into six main categories, skincare being the largest of one out of them all, accounting for 35.3% of the global market in 2014. The cosmetic industry seems to be continuously developing, now more than ever with the advent of internet companies. And on the next couple minutes I'm going to show statistics of establishments, retail revenues, and expenses of the industries and their constant growing of non-Canadian market. Establishments by employment type and province territory. The data presented come from Statistic Canada's Canadian Business Patterns database, which offers statistical information based on the business register. Some establishments do not employ any individuals, and in some cases the employment type of an establishment can be indeterminate. Non-employers are in effect owner-operated, and the owners do not pay wages or salaries to themselves as an employee of the company. Even though some establishments do not maintain employee payrolls, they may have workforces which may consist of contracted workers, part-time employees, family members, or business owners. The table shows the breakdown between employer and non-employer or indeterminate establishment for each province and territory, as well as a percentage distribution at the national level. For the cosmetics, beauty suppliers, and perfume stores industry, 47.2% of establishments are non-employers or indeterminate, and 52.8% have one or more employees. Establishment by employment size category and province territory. The size of a business can be defined in many ways, for example by the value of its annual sales, its annual gross or net revenue, the value of its assets, or by the number of people it employs. In this section, a definition based on the number of employees is used. Establishments are considered micro if they employ fewer than 5 people. Above this threshold, a goods producing firm is considered small if it has fewer than 100 employees. Above that size and up to 499 employees, a firm is considered medium-sized. The term SME for small and medium enterprises is used to refer to all establishments under the large cutoff of 500 employees. The table below indicates the number of employer establishments by employment size category and by province or territory in cosmetics, beauty suppliers, and perfume stores industry. In 2014, the breakdown of employer establishments in the cosmetics, beauty suppliers, and perfume stores industry was as follows. 36% of them were considered micro, employing less than 5 employees. Small establishments accounted for 63.9%, and medium-sized establishments accounted for an additional 0.1% of the total number of establishments. Large employers, those with more than 500 persons on payroll, accounted for 0% of the total establishments in the cosmetics, beauty suppliers, and perfume stores industry. Revenues. This section examines the operating revenues generated by the cosmetics, beauty suppliers, and perfume stores industry. Operating revenues are revenues that are derived from the regular operations of a business. Revenues from non-operating sources such as interest and dividends are excluded. The primary source of operating revenues for the vast majority of retail businesses is sales. Other sources of operating revenues can include commissions, manufacturing sales, labor revenues, revenues from rental and leasing, etc. Sales represented 99.4% of total operating revenues in 2012, while other sources of revenues accounted for 0.6%. In 2003, sales accounted for 99.3%, while other sources of revenues represented 0.7%. Operating revenues reached $1.1 billion in 2012, up from $997.2 million in 2011. This was an increase of 13.6%. Since 2003, operating revenues has increased 8.8% per year on average. Expenses. This section examines expenses incurred by the cosmetics, beauty suppliers, and perfume stores industry. The largest expense category for most retail establishments is the cost of goods sold. Operating expenses are charges that are produced as a result of the regular operations of a business. Among the operating expenses, total labor remuneration is typically the largest category. Other sources of operating expenses can include rental and living expenses, advertising, depreciation, management fees, etc. Expenses from non-operating sources such as interest expenses are excluded. In 2012, cost of goods sold represented 47.7% of total expenses. Total labor remuneration accounted for 22.5% and the other operating expenses 29.8%. In 2003, cost of goods sold accounted for 59.8%, total labor remuneration for 19.2%, and other operating expenses were 21.1% of the total operating expenses. Total expenses reached $1 billion in 2012, up from $504.2 million in 2003. This represented an increase of 8.3% per year on average. Between 2011 and 2012, total expenses increased from 11.1%. Net revenues. An estimate of the pre-tax profitability of the cosmetics, beauty suppliers, and perfume stores industry can be obtained by subtracting total expenses from the total operating revenues. While this calculation will not match balance sheet information exactly, it does provide a reasonable estimate. In 2012, the cosmetics, beauty suppliers, and perfume stores industry generated $97.8 million in profits, up from $26.4 million in 2003. This represented an average annual increase of 15.6%, with a 47.8% increase observed between 2011 and 2012. The profit margin is one way to measure profitability. It is a ratio of net revenues to total revenues. For example, net revenues as a percentage of total revenues. Profit margin can vary widely between industries. In 2012, the pre-tax profit margin in the cosmetics, beauty suppliers, and perfume stores industry was 8.6%, while in 2003 it was 5%. In conclusion, we can observe that the industry of cosmetics and perfume is still growing constantly, which is a good thing for Canada's economy and its population. Thank you for your attention.